It's on chess. Chess is not always about winning. Sometimes it's simply about learning. And so is life. If you are not big enough to lose, you are not big enough to win. Attackers may sometimes regret bad moves, but it is much worse to forever regret an opportunity you allowed to pass you by. It is much worse to forever regret an opportunity you allowed to pass you by. Bobby Fischer famously said, I don't believe in psychology. I believe in good moves. I don't believe in psychology. I believe in good moves. Chess is the only game that accurately reflects the status of the husband. The poor king can only take one step, while the mighty queen can do whatever she wants. Life is like a game of chess. To win, you have to make a move. Knowing which move to make comes with insight and knowledge. Knowing which move to make comes with insight and knowledge. And by learning the lessons that are accumulated along the way, we become each and every piece within the game called life. You got to become each and every piece. Sometimes you are the pawn, sometimes you are the knight. Sometimes the bishop, sometimes the rook, sometimes the queen, and sometimes the king. And that's how life will demand you to play different roles. So you have to make moves to win, and which move to make comes with insight and knowledge. Chess teaches you, first of all, to be objective. Chess, first of all, teaches you to be objective. True love is like playing chess. A boy is always afraid of losing his queen, and a girl risking everything just to protect her king. We learn little from victory, but much from defeat. Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake. Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake. Life is not always like chess. Just because you have the king surrounded, don't be under the impression that he is not capable of hurting you. Right? Example, you see, a lion, the king of the forest. If he is surrounded, you think it's over? No. The best way to get smarter is by playing smarter opponents. Never underestimate the power of the pawn. Never underestimate the power of the pawn. A mind once stretched by a new idea never regains its original dimensions. A mind once stretched by a new idea never regains its original dimensions. That's the reason when we learn and talk and discuss new ideas, we grow intellectually, spiritually, psychologically. At the end of the game, the king and the pawn go back into the same box. At the end of the game, the king and the pawn, all in fact, go back into the same box. Chess is the gymnasium of the mind. Chess is the gymnasium of the mind. I felt that chess is a science in the form of a game. I consider myself a scientist. I wanted to be treated like a scientist. Bobby Fischer. I felt that chess is like a that chess is a science in the form of a game. I consider myself a scientist. Well, I think that Bhagavad Gita is a science in the form of poetry. I consider myself a Gita scientist. I'm researching and I've discovered extraordinary truths and I would like to be treated like a scientist. Krupa Shankar. Chess says everything about husband and wife. The king has to take things one step at a time, while the queen can do whatever she wants. Chess is like husband and wife relationship. The king has to take things one step at a time, while the queen can do whatever she wants. Keep calm and play chess. Keep calm and play chess. Life is like a game of chess, changing with every move. Life is like a game of chess, changing with every move. In the game of chess, the pawn thinks, the harder I work, sooner I become a king. You see, the pawn can reach the last square and become queen. I mean, as powerful or probably more powerful. And the king, What is he thinking? The harder this fellow works, the longer I'll be a king. When you are lonely, when you feel yourself an alien in this world, play chess. This will raise your spirits and be your counselor in war. Play chess because it will raise your spirits and be your counselor in any conflict. Chess is war over the board, and the object is to crush the opponent's mind. The object is to crush the opponent's mind. It's very simple. See, chess strategy. I fake weakness when I have got strength, and then I watch my opponent make his fatal mistake. Fake weakness, though you got strength, and wait and watch the opponent make his fatal mistake. Then be merciless. The chessboard is the world, the pieces are the phenomena of the universe, the rules of the game are what we call the laws of nature, and the player on the other side is hidden from us. Thomas Huxley. Chess is perhaps the only game in which there is no element of chance. The only game in which there is no element of chance. Life is a kind of chess, wouldn't you say? Tactics is knowing what to do when there is something to do. Tactics is knowing what to do when there is something to do. Strategy is knowing what to do when there is nothing to do. Life is too short for chess. Win with grace, lose with dignity. Life is like a chess game. You don't want to waste a move. You don't want to waste a move. Chess is eminently and emphatically the philosopher's game. It is a philosopher's game. Magnus Carlsen says, I'm trying to beat the guy sitting across from me and trying to choose the moves that are most unpleasant for him and his style. Choose the moves that are most unpleasant for him and his style. Chess, like love, like music, has the power to make men happy. Chess holds its master in its own bonds, shaking the mind and brain so that the inner freedom of the very strongest must suffer. Albert Einstein. Chess holds its master in its own bonds, shackling the mind and brain, so that the inner freedom of the very strongest must suffer. Albert Einstein. Interesting. The passed pawn. The passed pawn is a criminal who should be kept under lock and key. Mild measures such as police surveillance are not sufficient. If you wish to succeed, you must brave the risk of failure. Garry Kasparov. The beauty of a move lies not in its appearance, but in the thought behind it. Without error, there can be no brilliance. Without error, there can be no brilliancy. Immanuel Lasker. Awesome. Without error, there can be no brilliancy. That coincides with the Bhagavad Gita Shlokam. That is in chapter 18, 48 Shlokam. Chapter 18, 48. Sahajam karma kaunteya sadoshamapi na tyajet. Sarvarambha hi doshena dhumena agni rivavrataha. Sahajam karma kaunteya sadoshamapi na tyajet. You see, everything is fraught with defect in this world. And simply because it's fraught with defect, you don't abandon it. All undertakings are covered with the defect, like fire by smoke. So, it's an awesome parallel. Immanuel Lasker may not have read Bhagavad Gita, but he said something amazing. Without error, there can be no brilliancy. Simply because there is an error, don't avoid being creative or brilliant. The blunders are all there on the board, waiting to be made. The blunders are all there on the board, waiting to be made. About critics, unfortunately, many regard the critic as an enemy instead of seeing him as a guide to the truth. Unfortunately, many people believe that the critic is their enemy instead of actually seeing him as the guide to the truth. Fluency. Viswanathan Anand says, chess is like a language. The top players are very fluent at it. Talent can be developed scientifically, but you have to find first what you're good at. You can never win a game by resigning. Memorization of variations could be even worse than playing in a tournament without looking in the books at all. The laws of chess do not permit a free choice. You have to move whether you like it or not. Same thing with life. That's what the Bhagavad Gita also says. Again, this quote is by Emmanuel Lasker. The laws of chess do not permit a free choice. You have to move with whether you like it or not. And the Gita says you have to do karma whether you like it or not. There's no question of abstaining from activity or karma. The ability to work hard for days on end without losing focus is a talent. The ability to work hard for days on end without losing focus is a talent. The ability to keep absorbing new information after many hours of study is a talent. The ability to keep absorbing new information after many hours of study is a talent. Magnus Carlsen says, of course, analysis can sometimes give more accurate results than intuition, but usually it's just a lot of work. I normally do what my intuition tells me to do. Most of the time is spent thinking. Most of the time spent thinking is just to double check. I normally do what my intuition tells me to do. Most of the time spent thinking is just to double check that.